Hello, for those watching, and for the YouTubers and everyone else out there. Getting ready to record episode 13 of Multiverse tonight. An episode I've titled Requiem for the Man. The man being Stanley, of course. Just passed away this past week. I have my own little memento here. This is a picture with him, with me and my wife. I got autographed by him. Nice man. Very nice man. Yeah. I wish the line wasn't so long so you actually had time to talk to him, but everyone wanted that last pick with him because they knew, he didn't have long to go in life. But anyway, we'll get started here. Drink some more pop. And let's get ready. Alright. Get your script up. Pause for the podcast. You seriously want to go out now? Hold on. Dogs, you gotta kill them. Come out. Get back in here then. Do something or don't. Always a joy. Okay, let's start that again. There are many universes out there. Welcome to the one with news about all the others. This is Multiverse Tonight. Now, here's your host, Thomas Townley. Hello! Whoop, no, I screwed that up. I forgot the pre-roll. Yeah, well. Alright. Let's go again. Is there anything I also forgot? I forgot to put my phone in Do Not Disturb. Alright. 5, 4. Tonight, geeky news and all aside, we take a long look at the life of one of the greats, the man, Stan Lee, on this edition of Multiverse Tonight! There are many universes out there. Welcome to the one with news about all the others. This is Multiverse Tonight. Now, here's your host, Thomas Townley. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 13 of Multiverse Tonight. I'm your host, Thomas Townley. This episode was recorded on November 20th, 2018. Thank you to all who are listening. Please share us with others. I would also like to announce that I am now streaming the live recording of the show on Twitch. I usually record the show around 2 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday afternoon. By the way, if you really want to help me out, like my good friend Anne, you can leave me a tip on Ko-Fi, that's Ko-Fi, Patreon, and now directly from the Radio Public app and the Buzzsprout player. Also, this weekend, starting on Thursday until next Monday, everything in our TeePublic store is up to 30% off. T-shirts at $14, mugs for $11, stickers for $2, and much more. Just go to teepublic.com and search for Multiverse Tonight, or click the link in our show notes or on the website. Now, please be sure also to check out multiversetonight.com and see our show notes, affiliate links, and the occasional original column, and much, much more. Now, let's get on with the show. One of the best parts of any Star Wars movie has been John Williams' score. A new arrangement of the love theme from Attack of the Clones Across the Stars has been released. Performed and created specifically for Grammy Award-winning violinist Anna Sophie Mutter, this piece will be on a collection of John Williams classics that are being reinterpreted by Mutter for release during 2019. By the way, when we get the release date for this, why not buy it through my Amazon associate link? Just go to the side banner at multiversetonight.com. Before taking up the mantle of Kylo Ren in Episode 7, The Force Awakens... Excuse me. Let's try that again. Before taking up the mantle of Kylo Ren in Episode 7, The Force Awakens, Adam Driver wasn't really a household name. Post Episode 7, though, it caught Driver surprised by his newfound fame. Talking with Vulture, Adam said, quote, "I was aware that more people would see it than see most things I do, but I don't think I could have anticipated how often I'd get recognized because it's so different for every person. I'm very tall and I look a certain way. I can't blend into a crowd." Driver, by the way, is 6'2", only an inch shorter than Captain Phasma actress Gwendolyn Christie. Driver went on to say that although he's a people person, he does become very focused when he's acting. Quote, "I like to stay focused on set, but it's not because I have a process that I'm imposing on everyone else. Sometimes you have to be more focused in between scenes because that's what's happening is that on something like Star Wars, it's pure comedy in between takes," unquote. It's, quote, "It's stormtroopers running into walls because they can't see through their helmets. So I don't know where the intense thing came from," unquote. You'd think the First Order would have fixed that with all the upgrades. Bam! Right on the wall. The casting for the first live-action Star Wars TV show continues to roll along, and while full details have not been forthcoming, now word has come from Making Star Wars that Carl Weathers will be a part of the cast. Carl might be known to genre fans for starring with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator and being Rocky's adversary in Rocky. Maybe he's going from the hunter to one of the hunted by the Mandalorian? In The Last Jedi, Rey and Kylo battled over Luke's lightsaber, with the saber breaking in half. Now, a close-up of the prop from a recent episode of the Star Wars show shows that Rey might have to build herself a brand new one. While touring Lucasfilm's headquarters, the host of the show gave a good look at the lightsaber, with the host Andy Gutierrez referring to the saber as broken. And Andy later clarified her reaction on Twitter, quote, "Another fan reached out to me yesterday with the same image. The crystals in the prop on display are very jagged, so my brain went straight to broken. I agree that it's most likely broken at that juncture, and we're seeing that the two crystals," unquote. Members of Lucasfilm's story group offered their input on Twitter as well, saying on Twitter, quote, "Looks broken to me. What you can't see in the video is that the shattered fragments of the broken kyber crystal are blue." Unquote. So, if the crystal is broken, will Rey have to track down her own crystal for her new lightsaber? Reports from earlier this year did say that Jordan, a location that served as the filming location for Jeddah in Rogue One, was one of the locations being shot for Episode 9. I guess we'll know for sure next December. Disney has announced another new Star Wars series for the new streaming service, which, by the way, has been given the name of Disney Plus. During the fourth quarter earnings call to investors, the Disney chairman talked about the new series, which will serve as a prequel to Rogue One. It will show the early formation of the Rebel Alliance and Cassian Andor's role. StarWars.com describes the new series as, quote, "The rousing spy thriller will explore tales filled with espionage and daring missions to restore hope to a galaxy in the grip of a ruthless empire." Unquote. Variety noted that Cassian Andor's actor, Gabriel Luna, will have to fulfill his obligations with the Netflix series Narcos before he can begin filming the new series. We will have more on the Marvel entries on Disney Plus a little later in the show. Now, Solo was a movie plagued with production problems and became the lowest grossing Star Wars movie in the franchise. You'd think that director Ron Howard wouldn't want any part of doing another one. Wrong. Speaking with Metro about if he'd ever like to do it again, the former star of Happy Days said, quote, "I had a great experience with that. It would depend entirely on the story." Unquote. We should note that his daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, will be stepping into the director's seat for an episode of Favreau's The Mandalorian. Ron commented on this too, saying that she was thrilled and that, quote, "She's having a great experience, so I'm kind of living through it again through her. It's just a creative, inspired group of movie lovers who make those projects. I think having Ron Howard back for another project would be great. He really didn't get a fair shot at it with Solo. Besides, I'm sure his brother Clint would love to have another role in Star Wars." Now, Jar Jar Binks will be returning in a new story in Marvel Comics, Star Wars Age of the Republic Special #1. The story comes from Chip Zdarsky, who has worked on Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, and Marvel 2-in-1. Also in this issue is a story about Mace Windu, the Sith assassin Aj Ventress, and clone trooper Captain Rex. Hopefully the Jar Jar Binks story is how he was the true villain. John Boyega, who plays the ex-trooper Finn, responded to fan Chris Ryans on Twitter, who posted, quote, "Hopefully my man John Boyega will truly shine in Episode 9, and the Finn character will be shown as the baddest hero we've been waiting for him to be since 7, and hopefully he'll wield a saber again." Boyega responded to this tweet with, quote, "We've got you in this one, bro. Trust me." Unquote. This is either some masterful misdirection, or we'll see Finn wield that lightsaber again in Episode 9. Now, according to Boba Fett voice actor Daniel Logan, the reason for Disney's cancellation of the popular animated series Clone Wars was because it was getting too graphic. Speaking at London Comic-Con, Daniel said, quote, "Disney, they canceled it. I think it was getting a little too graphic. Actually, it was getting really graphic." Logan said at London Comic-Con, "Boba was doing some really, really cool stuff. He started actually becoming a bounty hunter." Unquote. He also said that he had recorded dialogue for 7 episodes that never aired, including one that would have pitted Boba against Cad Bane. Now, don't cry for lost episodes, friends, as more Clone Wars stories are to come as the series is getting a revival next year on Disney+. Legendary composer John Williams is providing an original score for the new Star Wars-themed Galaxy's Edge set to open at Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios next year. Entertainment Weekly has released an exclusive video with the music as well as a look at the building of the attraction. We'll have a link to the video in the show notes. J.J. Abrams is working on getting all the monies. According to Variety, the master of stars, both Wars and Trek, is ready to consolidate all of his productions under one studio. No specific numbers have been reported, but the deal would include films, TV, digital, music, games, products, and theme park opportunities. And while no specific media entity has been hinted at, Variety thinks that the only two viable options are Disney or Comcast, due to both having theme park and consumer divisions. The Episode 9 director is currently signed in two places right now, with Warner Bros. TV, which expires in May, and with Paramount, with 1 year left on the contract. The last film he made for Paramount was in 2013, Star Trek Into Darkness. So, should JJ go to Disney or Universal? What do you think? Star Trek Picard is still a ways off, but we're getting plenty of Let's try that again. Star Trek Picard is still a ways off, but we're getting plenty of leaks from the writer's room. Michael Chabon, whose Calypso Star Trek was just released on All Access, spoke with IGN, where he was asked if there were any Picard episodes we should look at for inspiration of where the series was going. Quote, "I can't think of a way to answer that question that somebody wouldn't be able to interpret as me having given away hints or secrets," he said. "And you know, anything I say, they're like, oh, so it's that." Unquote. I guess what I would say is that the people who are working on the series are fans. You know, I'm going to start that over again. This is the luxury of doing recording the show, is I have to be able to record it again. Star Wars Picard is still a ways off, but we're getting plenty of leaks from the writer's room. Michael Chabon, whose short trek Calypso was just released on All Access, spoke with IGN where he was asked if there were any Picard episodes we should look at for inspiration of where the series was going. Quote, "I can't think of a way to answer that question that somebody won't be able to interpret as me having given away hints or secrets," he said. "And, you know, anything I say, they're like, oh, so it's that." I guess what I would say is that the people who are working on the series are fans, and we started developing initially with a core group of me and Discovery writer Kristen Beyer and Discovery executive producers Akiva Goldsman and Alex Kurtzman. And that got the ball rolling initially. We all have our beloved episodes, and we all had important moments. We knew the material, we knew the character, and we talked a lot about a lot of different episodes that were the kind of storytelling type things that might be possible ways, that might be clues for us going forward. It's very grounded." Unquote. He also said that Patrick Stewart has kept his finger on the pulse of the show during its development. Quote, "He has been really influential in both helping us understand the character and also pushing us and challenging us. And I think more than anything, and I don't think it's revealing anything for me to say this, he's really pushing us to try to do something new and different with the character. And that's why he wants to play it, so that he can play something that honors the character, that's true to the character. And like I said, he's a very fierce protector of the character, but at the same time, he wants to see Jean-Luc Picard have experiences, having adventures, and put in situations we haven't seen before." Unquote. According to Chabon, who spoke to Deadline, Sir Patrick stayed with the writers a few weeks to brainstorm and got the ideas flowing. He told Deadline that using Patrick as a resource is going to make the show. He also said that Patrick, quote, "asks a lot of questions about you and your life. He's a sweetheart. He's also really, really smart. I've had experience over the years of meeting actors who play intelligent characters, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a disappointment when you meet the actor to discover that they aren't as brilliant as the character they portray." Unquote. So, it's very grounded, and Patrick Stewart is influencing the writing room. Good. Now, if they'd only just give us the slightest hint about what the show is about, or anything, I'd be happy. And speaking of the ever-burgeoning Star Trek on CBS All Access, a spin-off of Discovery featuring Michelle Yeoh's Emperor Georgiou is in early talks. The actress, who returns in Season 2, talked with IGN. Quote, We don't want anybody else, apart from the selected few who already do know about the mirror universe, to know. That has to be kept under wraps, or otherwise it would be just chaos in the Prime Universe, Yeoh told IGN. So Admiral Cornwall, Spock, Sarek, Tilly, the few Saru that know. So it's like when I come onto the Discovery, Captain Pike has no clue. So I play the Philippa Georgiou that he's met before, the kind, compassionate one. But you know the problem with the Emperor Georgiou? She cannot help herself from being mischievous. So Captain Pike is almost like, no, she didn't. I don't think she was flirting with me, you know? So she loves to play all these little tricks on people's minds, and she manipulates them because she's very smart, unquote. The question that should be asked here is why? Why do we need a series about Mirror Georgiou? Georgiou's return was a twist last season, but it wasn't the only twist that season. The bigger twist was that Lorca was Mirror Lorca trying to return back to his own universe to kill Georgiou. Jason Isaacs spoke with StarTrek.com about the reveal. It was effing awesome, he said. All actors ever want is to have a secret to play, and I had the biggest secret ever. I had a huge hidden agenda. And acting is all about the things you're holding back from the camera and not the things you're doing. There's nothing worse than saying that you mean because then there's nothing to play. And there wasn't a single moment until right at the end where you got to see what was really going on for Lorca was apparent. And only when people watch it a second time, as many people I've met here have, do they fully understand what I was going to do. Unquote. He also went on to and explained how they went the extra mile to foreshadow the reveal. Quote, it's like when people watch The Sixth Sense the second time. They go, of course they were all dead. How was I so dumb? It's also there from the beginning. It's there in some of the more obvious physical things like the eyes narrowing. Actually, that's not obvious because who knows what happens when you go through a tear in the universe. But just the things that I don't remember, the fact I'm clearly in breach of every part of Starfleet's ethical universe, and I'm pushing Stamets to jump. And with Burnham, there's no reason at all why I should have singled out this woman and brought her to the ship, and given her a pass and gotten her out of jail. All the interaction with Jane Brooke, with the Admiral, they're not just breadcrumbs. I left huge baguettes. Unquote. He also said that Prime Universe Lorca is still out there. Who wants to bet that they find him this season? IDW has revealed new details about the upcoming Star Trek Discovery Captain Saru one-shot. The comic will be released in February and is written by Kirsten Beyer and Mike Johnson with art by Angel Hernandez. The 48-page comic summary is this. Captain Saru is an all-new Discovery adventure that ties directly into Season 1 of the CBS All Access show. In it, soon after events on Kronos, the Discovery receives an urgent distress call from someone from Tilly's past. It's up to Saru to lead the crew against this amazing alien threat in his first mission as acting captain. This is the second tie into the popular Saru character. The first was the novel Star Trek Discovery, Fear Itself, by James Swallow. We'll also see more of Saru in the short trek titled The Brightest Star. Okay. When I say Star Trek, does Megan Fox even remotely come to mind? Yeah, I didn't think so. Megan Fox, who is most known for her unacting in the Transformers movies, recently posted on Instagram that showed she was on a set with JJ-verse movie actor John Cho. Layered on the picture was the TNG logo and tagged official Star Trek social media. It was then retweeted with a half-smiling emoji. Could Fox be joining the next Star Trek movie, or could the Star Trek Twitter account just be trolling us? Please, let it just be trolling us. George Clooney might not actually be Batman, but it doesn't mean he can't use his wealth for a Batman-like purpose. the star of the worst Batman movie to date, reportedly has used the money he made from those Nespresso commercials to fund a satellite over the Sudanese border in order to monitor the dictator Omar al-Bashir. Speaking with the richest, Clooney said, quote, "I am very comfortable with commercials. I have done them most of my life. Most of the money I made on the Nespresso commercials I spend keeping a satellite over the border of North and South Sudan to keep an eye on Omar al-Bashir, the Sudanese dictator charged with war crimes at The Hague." Unquote. He also used his clout with Nestle to bring Nespresso into South Sudan, creating coffee plantations in the country. You know, if he starts brooding in a cave and driving a plane shaped like a bat, we should all just worry. And moving on to the latest actor to play big screen Batman, actor Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner have finalized their divorce, according to TMZ. The couple negotiated the divorce without the aid of a lawyer and will have joint custody of their 3 children and will meet with a co-parenting therapist monthly for 6 months. They have also agreed to a property split. As for Ben's future wearing the cape and cowl, nothing definitive has been announced, but industry experts think that Warner Brothers will replace him, and due to the speculative high insurance cost caused by Affleck's recent treatment for alcohol addiction. Aquaman is coming soon, and the tie-in books are out. Aquaman, Arthur's Guide to Atlantis, which takes a journal-like approach to the character's story. One section features a timeline of the major events with a note of when he was born, 1986. That means I'm 10 years older than Aquaman, and he shouldn't be able to get any 80s references. We also have news about the runtime of the movie, which will be 140 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes. This is backed up from distributor Vertical Entertainment, which gives it 143 minutes. This seems to be the sweet spot for DC films. Justice League came in at 2 hours, and Batman vs. Superman came in at 2 hours 31 minutes. I guess we'll see if nearly 2.5 hours of Aquabro is enough or too much. And speaking of Aquaman, DC Universe Online has a new Aquaman-themed expansion called Atlantis. This marks one of the largest expansions in the game's 7-year history and gives players a, quote, brand new underwater world to explore, iconic DC characters, and swimming, unquote. Players will try to keep Coram Wraith from taking over the throne of Atlantis alongside Aquaman. The expansion is available on all 3 platforms now. Now, Batman the Animated Series debuted on Fox Kids back in 1992 and became an instant classic and one of the best representations of Batman on television ever. And no one knows that more than the man who voiced the Kid Crusader for all those episodes, Kevin Conroy. He recently spoke at Fan Expo Vancouver about why it has endured so long, saying that he was really serviced so well by the scripts that Bruce Timm, Eric Rondowski, and Paul Dini wrote, and that their approach was to, quote, never do a kids show, unquote. He also added, quote, they never condescended to the audience, and they never condescended to the material. They respected the audience, and they respected the material. He also commented on the all-age appeal of the series with, quote, and that's why when you look at it now as an adult, I look back at these shows and I think, this still looks so new. This looks so fresh because it was always created to appeal to people on many different levels, unquote. Now, he also added that there was something there for kids of 10 years old, but there's also there for something for people of 60. It's just a lot of different levels. Now, I agree wholeheartedly. And it's now out on Blu-ray in a massive set in a limited edition run. I would love to get it myself, but it's just almost too rich for my blood. Anyway, moving on to the television side of things, the Swamp Thing pilot is now in production, and we have more casting news to report. The first story comes from an exclusive to Deadline.com that Riverdale actor Henderson Wade will join the series as Matt Cable, a Louisiana lawman who will find himself in trouble when supernatural evil threatens his town. This role is nothing new to Henderson, as he wore a badge for 6 episodes of Riverdale as Sheriff Michael Mineta. Wade's other credits include The Last Ship, an American Horror Story Roanoke, and Extant. The character of Matt Cable originated in Swamp Thing #1 in 1972 as a federal agent assigned to protect soon-to-be Swamp Thing Alec Holland. Let's hope he does a better job in the show. Probably not, or the show would be called something else. Swamp Guy. Also, from Deadline comes word that the role of Jason Woodrue, who DC Universe knowledgeable fans would know is the real name of the Floronic Man, will be played by Kevin Durand. Kevin has been a supervillain before on the Marvel side, playing Fred the Blob Dukes in X-Men Origins Wolverine. But he's also done a lot of television work, including The Strain and playing opposite Nicolas Cage in the movie Primal. The official description for his character is as follows, quote, "Perkly genius, Jason Woodrue, is a biogeneticist without equal, and he knows it. Brought into the swamp to study the unique properties of a small-town Louisiana swamp, Woodrue becomes fixated on unlocking the potential contained within, leading to the tragic and monstrous consequences," unquote. Yeah, you gotta watch those prickly geniuses, Also, we have word that John Cryer has been cast as DC Comics villain Lex Luthor in the 50th episode. Let's try that again. Also, we have word that John Cryer has been cast as DC Comics villain Lex Luthor in the 15th episode of the season. Ironically, Cryer played Lex's nephew, Lenny Luthor, in the much-maligned 1987 film Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Hopefully he will be better as the father than he was as the son. Now, here's this. I'd like to thank you for listening to this edition of Multiverse Tonight. One way to support the show is to listen with Radio Public. Every episode of Multiverse Tonight that is heard through the Radio Public app for iPhone and Android means that we make money so this show can grow. There's a link to our show in the episode notes. Give it a try today. Let's try this again. Yeah. Getting out the kinks here, folks. Anyway. Here's the Marvel Comics news. Captain America's entrance in Infinity War was almost a lot more jolly. The scene in the movie is that Cap emerges from the shadows to help out to stop the Black Order from taking Vision and possibly killing Scarlet Witch. Joe and Anthony Russo almost had a different vision for the scene. A legion of mall Santa Claus impersonators. In the new book, Marvel's Avengers Infinity War, the art of the movie, storyboard artist Brian Andrews detailed the scene. Quote, "There were a few versions of the Edinburgh sequence," Andrews said. "At first, the Russos had it set during the Winter Festival. Large crowds, snow, and Cap and the gang were already on site trying to find Vision and Wanda in a crowd of Santas when the children of Thanos arrive. Lots of fun stuff, but it was too much. Sometimes less is definitely more." Unquote. Maybe they could have Santa Claus undo Thanos' snap. Infinity War is now being pushed for 10 additional Oscar categories. Previously, the only Oscar Disney was trying for was for Best Visual Effects. But now Disney has opened up the floodgates and have added the tries for Best Director for Anthony and Joe Russo, Best Adapted Screenplay for Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Best Film Editing for Jeffrey Ford, ACE, and Matthew Schmidt. Best Cinematography for Trent Uplock. Best Production Design, Charles Wood, set decorator, Leslie A. Pope. Best Costume Design, Jodiana Makovsky. Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Janine Thompson, John Blake, and Brian Sipp. Best Visual Effects, Dan Deliu, Kelly Port, Russell Earl, Dan Sedgwick. Best Sound Mixing, re-recording mixers, Dom Johnson and Juan Peralta. Production Sound Mixer, John Pritchett, CAS. Best Sound Editing, supervising sound editors, Shannon Mills and Daniel Laurie. And Best Original Score for Alan Silvestri. Now, while this list is impressive, it is a bit smaller than the list for Black Panther, which is going after 16 categories. The Oscar nominations will be announced on January 23rd at Oscar.com. Venom may have received mixed reviews from filmgoers and critics, but it's already drawn more than the worldwide box office than DC's Justice League. Venom has officially grossed $673.5 million worldwide, beating Justice League, which has brought in $657.9 million. This puts Venom at 115th on the earnings list versus Justice League, which is sitting at 129. Idris Elba has been named People magazine's sexiest man alive. The actor, who played Heimdall in the Thor movies, as well as the villain in Star Trek Beyond, tweeted on the news, quote, "Who'd have thought it? Thank you, @People, and all the fans for naming me #sexiest man alive. Don't forget to grab your issue this week. I'm honored and thankful." Unquote. Elba was previously selected by People as one of the 100 most beautiful people in the world in 2007. He was named Essence's Sexiest Man of the Year in 2013 and was a runner-up for People's Honor in 2013. So, what is the most watched MCU television show? If you said Daredevil, then you're wrong. Data from Parrot Analytics present a screen rant on Sci-Fi Wire's shows that the most watched show over a one-year period from November 9th, 2017 to November 9th, 2018 is Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. During this year, S.H.I.E.L.D. received an average of 22.3 million views, well ahead of Daredevil, which came in second with 15.3 million, followed by Cloak and Dagger, The Punisher, and Jessica Jones, which rounds out the top 5. If you're listening and you want to see the rest of the list, we'll have link to it in our show notes at multiversetonight.com. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. returns to ABC in the summer for a short 13-episode season. Now, some Marvel Comics news. The life of Captain... Actually, we'll go back for 1 second. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has actually... It's been announced just yesterday that they will be getting a Season 7, even before Season 6 is aired. So, congratulations to the folks over at Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Come back from Tahiti. We know it's a magic place, but you need to film some more. Now, here's some more Marvel Comics news. The life of Captain Marvel, which has been reworking Captain Marvel's origin ahead of the movie, due out next year, has delayed issue number 5 by a month, from November 21st to December 19th. Also, the epilogue to the big Infinity Wars event, Infinity Wars Infinity number 1, has been pushed back from December 26th to January 2nd. Now, let's have some geek news. The teaser trailer for Pixar's Toy Story 4 was released and introduced us to a character that's making us go, huh? Forky. The official synopsis that's been released is, quote, "Woody has always been confident about his play." This is annoying. There we go. The teaser trailer for Pixar's Toy Story 4 was released and introduced us to a new character that's making us go, huh? Forky. The official synopsis that's been released is, quote, Woody has always been confident about his place in the world and that his priority is taking care of his kid, whether that's Andy or Bonnie. But when Bonnie adds a reluctant new toy called Forky, played by Tony Hale, to her room, a road trip adventure alongside old and new friends will show Woody how big the world can be for a toy. Director Josh Cooley talked a little about Forky. Quote, The world of Toy Story is built upon the idea that everything in the world has a purpose. A toy's purpose is to be there for its child, but what about toys that are made out of other objects? Forky is a toy that Bonnie made out of a disposable spork, so he's facing a crisis. He wants to fulfill his purpose as a spork, but now has a new toy purpose thrust upon him. So, are you ready for Forky? And how much do you want to bet there's not going to be a Forky toy? I want kids sticking a spork in their eye now, do you? Toy Story 4 will be released on June 21st. Rumor has it that despite David Harbour looking good in the Hellboy makeup, it's not going over so well with test audiences. According to Daniel R. on Twitter, the reactions from the test screenings are, quote, pretty bad. His report is backed up from reporter Skylar Schuler, who has also heard bad things about the film. Another response is this on Twitter from KC Walsh, who said, quote, Harbour tries his best, but the dialogue, villain, and story seem to be lacking. Now, unquote. Now, nothing official or concrete has been said about it, but also remember that a test screening is used to fine-tune the film before release, so that they can always go back and do some reshoots later. Hellboy creator Mike Mignola helped write the movie, which also stars Ian McShane, Mila Jovovich, and Daniel Day Kim. It's scheduled to hit theaters on April 12th, so keep those fingers crossed. Season 12 of Netflix's Mystery Science Theater 3000 is out this week, and Jonah and the Bots are going to have to watch a movie gauntlet of end-to-end bad movies. This year's movies will be Mac and Me, Atlantic Rim, Lord of the Deep, The Day Time Ended, Killer Fish, and Ator the Flying Eagle. Here's the trailer.
Ladies and gentlemen, of the world stage, prepare to witness the most mind-bending act of movie riffing ever attempted.
I present to you The Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet?
6 terrible movies riffed one after the other.
Can Jonah Heston, his robot jerks, and you at home survive 6 horrible movies back to back?
Tuck back!
We can't riff 6 movies in a row. Our brains will melt. Our souls will implode.
And now to binge the unbingeable binge.
Punch something!
Blast them the movie!
Have mercy.
Oh, kill me!
I will kill you!
Oh, God! Wow! That's it. I'm out of here, man. No.
Adorable. At this point, I'm just stress eating. Oh, crap. They trained for this? God have mercy on our metal souls.
If I don't make it, avenge me!
Yes! Here we go!
We should take a moment to pour out a little for those who didn't make it. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Let
okay.
it flow.
Okay.
We'll tell you when.
Now, I must admit that's an excellent choice of movies. Ator the Flying Eagle is on Riff Tracks, so I've gone through that one already, but that looks like a good choice. You know, I wish for a longer season than 6 episodes, but I'm happy with 6 episodes. Perfectly happy. Anyway, going back to the news here, and speaking of Netflix again, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is getting its very own holiday special. Series creator Roberto Aguirre Sacasa revealed the news on Twitter that the standalone episode is coming. The episode, entitled A Midwinter's Tale, will be released on December 14th on Netflix. no story details are forthcoming. And speaking of Sabrina, the show is being sued by Lucian Greaves, the co-founder of the Satanic Temple, over the statue of Baphomet that the series features in a room of the witch's school. The temple holds a copyright to a similar statue. Now, we have word that he is following through with the suit, asking for $150 million. He claims, quote, defendants misappropriated the TST Baphomet children in ways implying that the monument stands for evil. Among other morally repugnant actions, the Sabrina series' evil antagonists engage in cannibalism and forced worship of a patriarchal deity, unquote. His case says that it violates his trademark on 3 grounds: copyright infringement, trademark violation, and injury to business reputation, saying that each claim is worth $50 million. So the ball is now in Netflix's court. You can insert your own gag here, folks. There are just too many. Now, no doubt you've heard about the Woolsey fire that is burning in Southern California right now. Well, it's not only killed many, but it has destroyed some cinematic treasures as well. One of the biggest is the Paramount Ranch in Angora Hills. 214 films and 142 shows have filmed at that location alone. The 3,000-acre ranch was used in many productions, including HBO's Westworld and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. All that's left there is the church that was constructed for Westworld and the train station that was used in Dr. Quinn. However, the Main Street set used for Westworld has been burned up. The Park Service hopes to have the ranch rebuilt within a couple of years. Also, we must report the passing away of John Rodgers, president of Comic-Con International. Rodgers was president of the company for over 30 years. He oversaw a company that hosted 3 conventions a year: San Diego Comic-Con, Alternative Press Expo, and WonderCon in Anaheim. He has never been a big presence at the con, preferring to work behind the scenes and rarely gave interviews. However, he usually hosted the annual Comic-Con Talkback panel on the final day of SDCC. Rodgers passed away on November 10th from complications from glioblastoma. He is survived by his wife and brother and sister. John Rodgers was 57 years old. 2-time Oscar-winning writer William Goldman has passed away at the age of 87. If you don't know the name, then you probably know his work. He's written novels, plays, and a lot of screenplays, including the Academy Award-winning screenplay for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Stepford Wives, the Academy Award-winning screenplay for All the President's Men, Heat, which was based on his novel of the same name, Misery, Twins, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, Chaplin, The Last Action Hero, Indecent Proposal, Maverick, and the screenplay for his novel, The Princess Bride. Inconceivable! Now, I'd like to close out tonight's episode to note the passing of one of the true legends of comic books, Stan Lee, who passed away on November 12th. I would put Stan Lee on the geek Mount Rushmore next to Fred Rogers. Stan was inspirational, self-deprecating, funny, and created characters that will still be around long after you and I are gone. Stan Lee was born Stanley Martin Lieber on December 28, 1922, in New York City. His family moved around New York City several times, and by the time he was a teenager at DeWitt Clinton High in the Bronx, Stan dreamed of writing the great American novel. In his youth, he worked part-time jobs like writing obituaries for a news service and press releases for the National Tuberculosis Center, delivering sandwiches for the Jack May Pharmacy to offices in Rockefeller Center, working as an office boy for a trouser manufacturer, ushering at the Rivoli Theater on Broadway, and selling subscriptions to the New York Herald Tribune newspaper. He graduated high school when he was 16 and a half in 1939. Later that year, with the assistance of his uncle, Stan became an assistant at the Future Marvel Comics, which at the time was named Timely Comics. He spent his time filling inkwells, proofreading, and getting lunch. Stan would get his big break in 1941, writing filler in Captain America Comics number 3 under the nom de plume of Stan Lee, as he wanted to save his real name for more literary works down the road. He then got to be the backup writer in Captain America Comics number 5, and would also go on to create some minor characters there. After Jack Kirby and Joe Simon left Marvel after a dispute with the publisher, Stan was installed as interim editor and then editor. In 1942, Stan took to the war, joining the army, where he served as a member of the Signal Corps, repairing phone lines. He was later transferred to the training film division, where he worked writing manuals, training films, slogans, and occasionally cartooning. After the war, he returned to work at Timely. Also, in December of 1947, he got married to the love of his life, Joan. They'd be together until her death in 2017 at the age of 95. In the 1950s, comics changed, and superhero comics were out. Stan was writing romance, westerns, sci-fi, and other genres by the end of the decade. Now, Stan was considering leaving the business as he had become dissatisfied by the work. But good news was just around the corner, as DC had started to revive the superhero comic. Stan's publisher, Martin Goodman, assigned Lee to come up with a new superhero team in response to DC. Jones suggested that he experiment with stories that he preferred. If they were not good, so be it. He could simply move on to another career. Stan took to this challenge and rose to it, creating the Fantastic Four with artist Jack Kirby. The success of the band of heroes would lead Stan and Jack to create a new age of Marvel heroes, including the Hulk, Iron Man, and the X-Men. With Bill Everett, he created Daredevil. With Steve Ditko, he created Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, all of whom lived in a thoroughly shared universe. Lee and Kirby would then bring a bunch of these heroes together with old heroes from the 40s, namely Captain America and Namor the Submariner, and create the Avengers. Throughout the 60s, Lee would script, art direct, and edited most of Marvel's series. He also moderated the Letters pages, writing a monthly column called Stan's Soapbox, and wrote endless promotional copy, often signing with his trademark motto, Excelsior. He also championed a comic creating system known as the Marvel Method. During his time, he created numerous characters. So numerous, I'm not going to mention them here. Just look them up. There are several hundred. He also used Marvel Comics at this time to spread awareness of the drug problems facing America, of racism and bigotry. In 1972, Lee stopped writing monthly comic books to assume the role of publisher, a role he would hold until October of 1996. He kept busy in the 70s and 80s. In 1981, he and Joan moved to California to oversee Marvel's TV and film projects. After leaving Marvel in 1996, he formed Stan Lee Media, which ran until 2001. Until its bankruptcy. He then would enter into a partnership to form POW, Purveyors of Wonder Entertainment. He would work with this company and a lot of other projects here and there, including those cameos in all those Marvel films, which will continue for a while. He filmed several which have not yet been used. He also formed a charitable organization in 2010 called the Stan Lee Foundation, focusing on literacy, education, and the arts, as well as donating some of his personal effects to the University of Wyoming at various times between 1981 and 2001. Now, as I mentioned, Joan preceded him in death last year, and ever since then, Stan has been under attack by predatory people trying to exploit him, which I won't go into here. Stan is out of their clutches now. He was laid to rest in a small private funeral on November 16th. Stan is survived by his daughter, Joan Celia Lee, hundreds of characters, and millions of adoring fans. Thank you, Stan. You really were the man. Stan's company, POW Entertainment, has established a tribute wall on therealstanlee.com where fans are encouraged to share their thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. And that's all for tonight. Now, this message.
Wizard World is closing 2018 out strong with cons in Austin, Texas, Sacramento, California, and Madison, Wisconsin. Wizard World guests this year have included the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, Jason Aquaman Momoa, Ray Cyborg Fisher, and Ezra the Flash Miller in the Justice League movie, Dave Bautista and Tom Clementief from Guardians of the Galaxy, Natalie Dormer and Sean Bean from Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings actors Billy Boyd and Sean Astin, and fan favorites like Michael Rosenbaum, Jules Satie, Charisma Carpenter, Henry Winkler, and many more. Use our coupon code Multiverse at checkout for 20% off the cost of your tickets. Get your tickets today.
All right. Now, there's one more Wizard World convention left on the calendar on November 30th in Madison, Wisconsin. Just use the code Multiverse for 20% off admission to that show, and I'm sure I'll get a new code for next year for the Wizard World shows. Now, be sure to check out our social media, as you see all right here if you're watching, Twitter at Multiverse Tom, and on Facebook and Instagram. And if you'd like to contribute some money, please do so at ko-fi.com/multiverse or on Patreon as well. And be sure to visit multiversetonight.com to check out our affiliate marketplace and our show notes and much, much more. If you're a subscriber, be sure to share us with your friends. And if you're brand new to the show, please be sure to subscribe and leave us with some feedback and let us know how we're doing. Special thanks to Lobo Loco for our theme music. Thanks for watching Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Now, please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half-Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2018. All rights reserved. Alright, now that's the show. Thank you to those who watched. You know, I at least had one or two viewers. It's fine by me. I'm really, neither here nor there. So let me stop the recording here.